Hey everyone, Animal Man here again at the Goldenrod patch in my driveway. So it occurred to me that if anybody tries the tea I showed you how to make and you liked the taste and enjoyed it, that since it's the fall and all, you may want to have the ability to enjoy this tea through the whole winter. And one way we do that is by drying it for later use. And we don't use the dehydrator like with the rose hips. All we do is we find the ones that are not flowering. Like here's a group right here. These are not flowering, so I can break that off. And the only reason we leave the flowering ones and the ones with the seeds now are that way it can reseed itself and I can spread these around. That's the only reason we're not taking them. So these ones without the flowers tend to have better flavor anyway too. We're just going to break off the whole thing at the base, and you can cut it, but you can just snap it off like that too. And what I do, every time I go to the grocery store in the produce department, you get these little twist ties that they use to close the bags. Whenever I go there, I grab a few extra, and my wife sees me and she goes, "I saw that!" So I take some of these, and what we're going to do is I wrap it around the part where I broke it off. And I just wrap it around there a few times. You can see that. Wrap it around so it gets a good grip. And then I will bring it inside, and you hang it inside the house somewhere kind of cool and dry. You just don't want it like in the cold basement. You don't want it like in the attic or anything. You know, you want it normal room temperature. And you can hang it from maybe like a hanger in the closet or something like that. I usually hang these in my reptile room because it's got a dehumidifier in there and it'll dry it out. And hanging it upside down is the way to go, just like if you ever try the dry flowers, you hang them upside down and leave them like that about a week, you're good to go. And we can get a whole bunch of them, bring them in the house, and one branch this size will give you enough, enough leaves to make several batches of that wonderful tea, the licorice tasting and smelling tea. So it's great. So I'm gonna get a few more of these that are not flowering and prepare them to bring them inside the house and let them dry out. Sweet goldenrod, ba-ba-da, good times never. You get the point. Alright, so it's been a few days now, and I've taken our goldenrod and I've taken it down, checked it. It's very, very brittle and dry on the touch, so I think these are good to store. It's important with herbs like this that you don't dry them in a dehydrator. You don't want heat, you don't want it to dry too quickly. You want it to be in a cool, dry place, and it dries kind of slowly over the course of days, and that locks in both the flavor and the vitamin content or the medicinal value depending on what you're using it for. So taking these down, and you don't want to store them long term, just hang in how you had them to dry, because number one, they might get in the way. Number two, what happens is these leaves start to gradually fall off and make a mess, and if you have like cats or dogs, they might eat them or whatever, and they might get sick. And if you brush against them, they crack off. It's just a mess. So we're going to store them, and storing it's very, very easy. And the best thing that I've found to store these are used glass jars. This is from a jar of gravy, and you just take the label off, rinse it out, put it in the dishwasher, and you're ready to roll. Or sometimes I use Prego sauce jars too. Either one will work great. So this is like, I think, a good size for what we have here. So here's the jar. All we're going to do is I'm going to kind of like slide my hand along this, and they should all come right off. And hopefully they'll go into the jar without too much of a mess. We'll see. So here it is. Got most of them. Most of them on the bottom at least. I'm going to go this way. There we go. It's a little bit better. You're going to lose a few, but that's okay. And you just fill up the jar. And I'm not going to make you sit through the whole process of me doing all 5 of these, but you get the gist of it. You put them in the jar loosely, and when you're going to use them, you would take them out and use them. You don't want to crumble them up. With anything like this, whole leaves or grain or whatever, you don't want to grind it or crumble it up or mash it up until you're going to use it, because once these things get ground up, they begin to lose the nutritional value or medicinal value rapidly. I mean, I think after 3 to 5 days, you lose over half of it. It's that quick. So you store it, you put the cap on, but just loosely. You want it to be able to breathe in case any moisture is still going to come out of there. You don't want them to get moldy or gross. And that's it. I mean, this will store the whole winter. Next year, you get a new batch.